You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. It's the TuAmigos Podcast with Carter and Jorge at DolphinsTalk.com.
Welcome back to the TuAmigos. My name is Carter Melrose. Jorge has allowed me to have the floor, and he's not going to steal my intro because, we've been through enough this last week. Okay, the last week, I was super negative, and Jorge was sort of saying, no, not even sort of saying, he was for sure saying, they're not going to lose another regular season game. We're going to go into the playoffs as the 1 seed. Jorge was Mr. Positivity. Last week, I was Mr. Negativity. And we even had some fans calling us out on it. As I have been so negative the last 3 or 4 weeks, people are like, hey, just enjoy the ride, enjoy the season. But now I think Jorge might be sort of in the same mind space that I am. And Jorge said, let me have the floor for a little bit. I need to vent. So, Jorge, welcome to the show. How you feeling?
Hey, Carter. Well, I think I speak for everyone in Dolphins Nation when I say I'm fucking pissed off. That being said, my level of trust in this team is on a threat right now. I still trust them. I think we're still going to make the playoffs, but it depends on Sunday. If the team bounces back like Philadelphia bounced back from their loss against us, and we go into Hard Rock on Sunday and put some pain into the fucking Jets, everything will be fine with the world, and I'll be very confident about this team, about our expectations with them, and about where the season is going. But indeed, there's a huge but there.
Yep.
If the Dolphins come out flat, if the Dolphins find a way to lose this game, and today I don't want to hear about injuries. I do not. If we find a way to lose to the fucking Jets at home, then, Carter, I'll be ready to say that these are the same old Dolphins.
And we kind of got a little mini dose of that with the Titans game a little bit. You
know how I feel about primetime games.
Yes, you don't like them.
No.
You hate them. You despise them.
I do. And if I may, and I think this episode, and this is your warning, if kids are listening to this show, there will be a lot of expletives in this show.
Yes.
I fucking hate the primetime games.
Yeah.
And this is why. I get messages from people that have never seen the Dolphins in their fucking lives.
Yep.
Be like, oh, is this your fucking super team? Is this a team you said was gonna be the number 1 seed? Is it Tua? Is that what your team can do? Is that the number 1 offense in the fucking league? Blah, 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 blah. It's fucking awful, man. So I'll be happy if we never play another primetime game for the rest of my life.
Well, we have to in the playoffs because by definition, every playoff game is prime time. Here's something I will say, Jorge. Possibly, I don't know, I don't want to be kind of a negative Nelly here, but is it possible that when the Dolphins hide in that noon slot, they destroy teams? They absolutely eat them alive. And then anytime they put them on primetime, they're just going to freeze up to the moment. Do you think this is a Tua issue, a Mike McDaniel issue, a Dolphin issue overall? Like, what is this issue that we're freezing up?
Issue. I think it's institutional. I think it comes from the highest levels, and I think it's, about how are the players going about game day when it's prime time. Because we know their routine, right? When it's at 1 o'clock or even 3 o'clock, they'll have breakfast, they'll get to the facility, they'll be with the team. They're focused.
Yep.
But when they're in prime time, it's like they have the whole fucking day to themselves. And I know you're asking about just, playing in prime time, but I think the lack of focus this week was a huge issue.
Oh, totally.
And I think it's been something that has been dragging on. And I've been Mr. Positivity on the show, but I have pointed out about some little mistakes that would come back to bite us later on.
Yeah.
And I think one of those is, I feel that, I love McDaniel. I love him. And I'm not going to be one of those fucking jokers on Twitter calling him for to be fired. Absolutely not.
No, of course not.
But I think he was too focused on getting Tyreek to 2,000 yards. The playbook, the offense, now depends on Tyreek. Tyreek was out of the field, and there was no plan B. Like Jalen wasn't going on motions. We weren't using Jalen in space. We weren't using Achane in space. There was one long pass, which, by the way, if Achane doesn't slow down, it's a whole other ball game. So we'll talk about that later. But I felt he was lost, and something that was very frustrating for me, Carter, and I'm desperate to hear your thoughts on this.
Sure.
Because I want to know if you agree. But the last drive, when we needed a field goal to win the game, I got the very clear impression, that scenario had not been practiced at all in the week. No one had any idea what to do. McDaniel was completely lost with the play calling. Tua was lost, in the huddle. There was absolutely no raison d'être. There was absolutely no preparation for that situation. Do you agree with that?
Well, what I will say is, on this show, I overlooked the Titans, and I know for a fact that when you're beating these shitty teams by 30 points week in and week out, when you're beating the Commanders by 30 points, when you're at home and you are the 1 seed in the AFC, it's pretty easy to just say, we're probably not going to be in a situation where we're down 3 and have to do the 2-minute drill to win this game. But no, it looked like they were lost. They had no plays for this situation. And it also looked like, and I don't want to do this, Tua's kind of uncomfortable in that situation. He's not very comfortable in the I'm behind by 3 or 7 and I know I need to go tie up a game. He looked really uncomfortable in that same Chiefs situation a couple of weeks before that. Don't you agree?
But I agree that he didn't look good in those two situations. I would say he looked very comfortable in that situation against the Chargers.
True. That's true.
And we've got to wonder, is it preparation? Were there more, drills about that for the Chargers game? Less so for the Chiefs, less so for this game. I thought in general Tua played a very poor game. And you know I love Tua, right?
Of course.
But we have to talk about the piss poor performance this week.
It was bad.
From the first throw, putting Jalen in harm's way.
Oh my gosh, he was throwing a lot of hospital balls that entire game.
Yeah. I just thought, and again, I don't know if it's the night games. I don't know if it's all the media, around those games, the interviews, the sitting downs, whatnot. He just didn't look good. He just didn't look comfortable. He just didn't look prepared. Obviously, having, 4 backup offensive linemen playing in front of him was a factor.
Yeah, losing.
But I cannot blame it on that. Okay. I think, I think he would agree. Despite that, things that were in his control, were poorly executed.
No, and I think it's evidenced by the fact that it's such a shitty team we were playing. They're not very good. They don't have a lot of talent all across both sides of the football. It was evidenced by the fact that even like late in the game when we had no business winning that game, we almost covered. The spread was 13.5. We almost covered the spread at that end of that game because the Titans are shitty. That's what they were gifting us that game.
Yeah.
They were gifting us that game. And that is just how poorly Tua played and how poorly this defense played at the end of the game, that we were up 14 points with 2.5 minutes left. And the statistic will haunt you, but the statistic was in the last 767 times a team's been up 14 points with 3 minutes left. They've never lost. We made NFL history, boys and gals. And I'll tell you this right now, that is just how bad we self-destructed. And you think it was this organizational cancer, Jorge? Like, do you think this is, somewhere in the ownership, that we've been dealing with the same old Dolphins thing for 3 decades? Or is it like, I'm so confused. I'm so confused.
I think for this one, you can point very clearly at those responsible for this loss. All right. And if you allow me, I will give my balls of the week.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Right.
That's a very negative, segment, but I love it. I love it for this week.
Yeah. I'm going to call this the bullshitters of the week.
Sure.
First of all, let's start with special teams coordinator Danny Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
From the moment I saw them lined up, you could see that the Titans defense was not balanced, and they were outnumbering us on the right side of the formation.
Right.
And there was not a single person on that fucking field who said, hey, you know what? We've got 2 guys blocking. There's 4 guys coming on that side. Maybe let's call a timeout.
Right.
Let's maybe do something.
Yeah,
and
he didn't.
Sure enough, we got blocked and we lost by a field goal.
I know. Well, we lost by that field goal, and we also lost by those 4 points that Bradley Chubb cost us as well.
I'm coming up to that.
Okay, of course.
You're a professional player. You miss a sack. Your defense still holds him short of the first down.
Yeah.
You're getting off the field. Your defense held them before the first down. They didn't make the first down. I want to highlight that part.
Yeah, I don't understand
that unit succeeded at its objective. You didn't make the sack, but the unit held, and you're getting off the field. And for some reason, Bradley Chubb, whom I love, by the way. Bradley, I love you, don't kill me. And no, I will not say this to your face.
Yeah.
Decides that the important thing is that he didn't get this sack. And you know what, Carter? That's fine. Up until that point, it's fine. And he decides, in all his fucking wisdom, that he's gonna throw a fit about it. And you know what? Up until that point, it's fine. He can throw a fit in the fucking bench.
Yeah.
But he didn't take 2 motherfucking steps off the field before tossing his helmet like a 5-year-old kid, throwing a fit in a toy store. And he gifted the Titans that conversion that would lead to a score.
Yeah. Very true.
After that, he played great. Fantastic. But guess what? 1 fucking mistake is all you need. And now we're down to 2 mistakes. You've got 3 points and 4 points. That's 7 points, Carter.
We're up 21 at the end of the game in that situation. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then let's talk about Mr. Incredible. Liam Eichenberg.
He was really bad.
And you know what? I don't blame him for the bad snap.
No, I don't blame him for any of it. He didn't.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm just going to tell you something. If you got a new center in there who hasn't practiced the whole fucking week, and you've got a quarterback who clearly is not comfortable under center, why in the world are you calling for their second play together?
Yep.
A fucking snap under center. Why? Why?
Right at that, didn't they? Well, they lost the ball, but I guess we got the pick six the next, like literally 2 plays later. But
but that again, your offense starts going with a negative momentum.
No, it's true.
And let me ask you something else, and this is a question for Tua, and Tua, I love you, man. But if you see the bad snap, if you see it's on the floor, if you see you can lift to play another down, why would you try to lift it up and throw it? Why in the world are you just not falling on that fucking ball and living to play another down?
Because I'm telling you, he gets a little bit squeamish. He does. In the panic situations, I think he has a little bit of PTSD from these head injuries, and he gets squeamish. He does.
But if you have PTSD, then you protect yourself and you get on the fucking foot with the ball. You don't try to play Superman football and be something you're not.
I agree with you. And so, okay, so are those all of your anti-balls, or do you have more?
No. I have one last one.
Okay, one last one.
You're up 14. You've played a shitty game.
Yep.
Why in the fuck are you pulling 7 starters out of your defense in the second to last drive?
Did they pull out 7?
Why the fuck was Elijah Campbell playing cornerback in the second to last drive?
Gosh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't know that was even occurring.
Carter, I'm dumbfounded by this game. I think if you made a list of everything they could have done to wrap the game to the Titans, they only need like 2 of the 5 things they fucking did.
I know.
And here's my last one. Let me just do the last one. I told you I needed the floor today. I will not apologize.
No, go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
Tyreek Hill is injured. He's coming back in the fourth quarter. Fine. But then you put him out there to return a kick And then he's not out there for the first 2 fucking snaps of your last drive when you need to move the fucking football.
So it's not Tyreek's anti-ball. Maybe Mike's. I don't know.
It's Mike's. Because then you start using Braxton Berrios in Tyreek's role for the motions and the screens. And with all due respect to Braxton Berrios, he's as fast as fucking Carter.
He's faster than me.
He scares defenses as much as Carter scares a fucking bouncer when he goes out clubbing.
You know, you don't actually have to use me as reference. I think they get the point. All right?
I'm lashing out.
You're lashing out at me just because your team sucks.
It did.
Here's what I'll tell you. Okay, and I love this segment because honestly, it's the stuff I feel. But I'm going to have some positivity in the show. I'll be honest, but not yet. I want to say this last thing. I have a question, not really a question, but I honestly think in Tyreek's role, right after he went out of the game, they used Cedric Wilson in that spot, running those go routes that would be touchdowns for Tyreek in the past, and doing some of those plays when really they should just put Waddle in that position. I'm not really sure why they're not doing that. But either way, it was an awful game. We lost the game. It pissed us off to all hell. But what we need to do is we need to move on. I know this game is probably going to haunt us at the end of the year. I'm sure it will. But here's what I will say. The last thing on this game, Jorge and I both have decided that we were going to boycott Hard Knocks this week. We just couldn't watch it. We couldn't watch it. We were not going to watch because the end of every Hard Knocks episode is literally the end of the game. And the heartbreak of losing Connor Williams, losing the football game to Will Levis and some really shitty players, was just too much of a heartbreak. Here's what I will say going forward. And here is a quote. In terms of like trying to find that positivity zone that I often do not find. Here's the quote from Warren Buffett, and I've said it before on the show, maybe a couple of years ago. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. I've said it before on the show, and I'm going to say it again. I was being fearful when others were greedy last week after we destroyed the Commanders by 30 points. You were being a little greedy, I must say. This week, I think we're a little reversed. I want you to know I'm going to be a little greedy now that others are fearful. I'm going to tell you this. That Titans performance, if this game wasn't on primetime football and it was once again in a 12 o'clock window, we fucking destroy that team. I will say that from the bottom of my chest. We win that game by 28 if that's not on primetime. The second thing I will say is we're about to play the Jets this week, a worse team at home, not on primetime. It's going to be okay. All right? It's going to be okay. We're going to destroy them this week. And then the biggest game of the season is still Ravens Dolphins. So we need to take care of the Cowboys at home. And then really the only game that matters if you want to get the 1 seed is that Ravens game. So I know we're negative and all this shit is happening and I don't want to watch Hard Knocks. Neither of us do. But really, it still just comes down to Ravens Dolphins. So what do you think about that? Ravens Dolphins we still beat the Ravens. We're 1 seed. What do you think?
I agree with you. And here's my caveat, if you will. If the Dolphins play the Jets and they win by at least the same mark, by at least 2 scores.
Right.
Which is not asking much, by the way.
No, it's not.
If the Dolphins go into this game and beat the Jets by 2 scores, then I will be confident as hell and say we're going to beat the Cowboys and say we're going to beat the Ravens. And I think if we beat the Jets, those things are by 2 scores. I think those things are happening.
Yep.
If the Dolphins lose to the Jets, Carter, I cannot tell you the amount of expletives I will use next week.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You know, and the thing is about this, and I hate to say this, I've always been on this train of the Dolphins have disappointed us later in seasons in December. And Colin Cowherd, after we lost that game just on Monday, he said, The Dolphins are like a spray tan. They look really good in the beginning of the year, and then they fade away. And you can't today, unless we beat the Jets, unless we beat the Cowboys, unless we, if we win 3 of 4 to finish the season, you can't disagree with that. I hate to say it. You can't disagree with that. We have faded away in December every fucking year. We have acted like the NFL spray tan. And even if narratives exist for a reason is the idea. They don't come out of nowhere. So we better beat the Jets by 1 billion. We better beat the Cowboys, or this same old Dolphins thing will perpetuate, and it will be because the Dolphins are a mediocre franchise. I'm saying it unless we can change that narrative going forward.
I agree, Carter. I think I'm with you absolutely 100%. And there's one more thing, and I think we have to address this at some point. And I will just say this because I don't want people to think that if I say it next week, it's a reaction to the game.
Right.
If the Dolphins lose to the Jets,
yeah.
If we witness that December collapse, we need to have a serious conversation about the continuity of number 1 quarterback for the Dolphins.
Oh boy.
If we beat the Jets, if we go out, then it's all shits and fireworks.
Right.
Sparkles and fireworks. But if we witness another December collapse, we need to talk about that going forward.
And it's not, we are some of the biggest Tua homers in the entire country, I would say. We are top 1%. It's literally our name of our show. But I'm on the same page with you. Tua has had this pattern every single season he's been in the NFL of not being able to win the games at the end of the year when they matter. So, if we want to continue to be this way, and we have a December collapse, the conversation needs to be had. What would you say? Let's say we lose against the Jets, and then we beat the Cowboys, we lose against the Ravens, lose against the Bills. So we lose 3 of 4. Okay. Yep. What is your opinion going forward with this team?
If we lose to the Jets?
We beat the Jets. Let's say we beat the Jets. We lose the Cowboys, lose the Ravens, lose the Bills.
I think that's a December collapse, Carter. I think at some point the team has to show that they can win the games that matter when they're under pressure.
Right.
I think it's never easy to win the NFL. Absolutely. But it's at some point we stop being impressed with beating, Commanders and Broncos and whatnot at 1 p.m. at home in September and October.
Right.
At some point when the games matter, when the pressure's on, the team needs to show that it can rise to that pressure.
Yeah.
And, this goes back to the primetime games and having the lights on and whatnot. They need to show that they can rise to the pressure, that they can play with the pressure, that they can succeed under pressure. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's a young team. It's an inexperienced team in those sort of big games. I get it. But at some point, you have to grow up and you have to show out and you have to show up.
Think about how embarrassing it would be if the Bills win the AFC East.
Dude, we would have to hide from Buffalo Mafia for fucking ever.
I know. If we lose against the Jets and then the rest of the season's not cupcake. They're all hard games the rest of the season after the Jets.
Yeah.
It's conceivable. It's conceivable that week 17 is for the AFC East. It's conceivable.
Yeah. It's also conceivable we get to that game and we are, the AFC East champions. So I don't want to, turn this into a Mr. Negativity store. There's, I think the team wins. I think the team wins by 2 scores against Jets. I think we're going to beat the Cowboys. I think we're going to beat the Ravens, and I think we're going to beat the Bills. I do think we're going to be, that this loss came at the right time, that the team is going to really refocus thanks to it, and they're really going to realize they cannot, get their pedal off the gas, that we cannot rest starters, that we have to play through pain, and just, drive the fucking car through the playoffs as the number 1 seed. I really think that's going to happen.
I think the one galvanizing thing about the human race is this, Jorge, and you just pointed it out for us. The galvanizing The most galvanizing thing about the human race is this. We believe that when something bad happens, something good comes of it. That's what you believe. That's what you just said. You said, we lost to the Titans on primetime football, but it's going to be a great reminder of the deafening, 6-game losing streak last December or whatever it was. Or it'll be that reminder that we're not invincible against these shitty teams. And it's going to galvanize the team, and we're going to come together, and it's the perfect loss. But remember, last season, like we said, it's that one first loss in December started our skid. So it can be one of two things going forward. And this is the big turning point of the frickin' season. We are losing players left and right. Not going to say that's a huge... We still have the players needed to win a championship, but some of these players are going to start, we're going to start feeling this impact. Like against the Titans, the reason we lost that game is because when we pinned our ears back and we were rushing the passer, we weren't getting home. We weren't getting home that entire third and fourth quarter. And I'll tell you, Phillips would have came in handy there, right? We felt that a little bit. That's why we had to sign Melvin Ingram this week. So this moment. It's either some of those players are going to step up. We're going to have Liam Eichenberg in the middle potentially. He has to step up. Van Ginkel has to get home. This team has to galvanize. So it's this moment. Are we going to have this huge skid like every season I've ever been a part of for the Miami Dolphins? Or are we going to show what we've shown some of the shittiest teams in the NFL, that we can just put our foot on someone's throat? And we need to know that this week against the Jets. We need to see it. What's your prediction for the game?
I'm going to say it, Carter. I think it's going to be a fucking shellacking. I think the team is going to take it out on the Jets. I feel sorry for the guys up in New fucking Jersey, because you don't play New York, by the way, fuckers. You're playing fucking Jersey, okay? You're the fucking Jersey Jets. All right? It's like a fucking musical up there. I think I think they're paying for this shit, and I just say, Carter, 42 Dolphins, 13 Jets. I think McDaniel really goes into his bag and just really trashes his old friend Sally this week.
I think this is just shellacking too, and I think if Tyreek plays, he's going for 200. I honestly do, even with Sauce. I honestly think it's one of those situations that they're going to still try to force him to 2,000. Even if you don't like it, they're going to try to force him to 2,000, and he got 60 yards last game. So if he plays, he's going to get the ball a lot. We looked really, really lost without him on the field. That was really ugly. So hopefully he does play. That's all I got for the show. It's a big turning point of the season. We love you guys. We're here for it. We're here for all the trauma, and we're here for all the success. We love you. We hope we put our foot on the throat of the Jets. Anything else to say, Jorge?
I just want to say, thank you to the guys. We love the comments. We might not agree, and I think a lot of what Carter and I say show is obviously in jest and to make the show interesting. But we love the engagement and keep it coming. That's the reason we do a show. It'd be kind of sad to think no one's listening to us. So keep those comments coming. We love you guys, and it's been a hell of a season so far. I think it's going to continue to be a hell of a season once you remember. And I trust the guys.
All right, I semi-trust them as well. So we'll see how it goes. This has been the Two Amigos. We'll see you next week.